Chris Roebling, and I live in Riverside, and I am a RV parent. I'm going to talk a little bit here before we get going. Originally, this was going to be Jim and yours truly, but I think that wasn't really exciting enough. And so now we've got yours truly and all of my friends over here: Tim Scanlon, Marianne Lee Brandt, Darcy Lewis spoke. Oh, yeah, Elizabeth speak. And so it was a big production, which I appreciate. I'm going to say it's a real privilege to be at Kamara tonight, because I learned in the newspaper today that there's a stellar young lady here named Marley Santora. Is Marley here, or are her parents here? All right, Marley Santora, ladies and gentlemen, actually knew how to spell the word desiccant. And that has earned her a place at the National Spelling Bee. So let's say thanks again to her. Spelling is impressive. I also want to say, I want to take a second to recognize, I think all of us want to recognize, the volunteer public servants who have been representing us. Now, I'm going to say in a minute that I don't like the way they've been doing it, but they've spent a lot of time and a lot of effort, and it's all been well-intentioned, even if sometimes we disagree with the result. Dan Moon's wife is here. Jim Marciniak is the president of the RV board. He's here. I ran with him for the RV board several years ago. We've got other RV board members here. I saw Mike Welch is here. Who else is here who's on the RV board? Larry Herbst is here. Larry put me on the Floor Space Commission about 6-7 years ago, so I worked on that issue of expanding. Marianne Lee Brandt is here. She is a member of the commission. So we want to say thank you to all of our citizen volunteer representatives on the board, even if we disagree with them. David Bennett is here. David put me on the District 96 caucus about 8 years ago. So I'm going to raise questions here tonight. And I said in a posting at the newspaper that I'm not going to tell anybody how to vote. I'm not going to say, ergo, you should vote this way, or therefore you should vote that way. I think everybody should decide themselves. I think it's the wrong time, we're going through the worst recession in 75 years, to tell people how to vote on a pocketbook issue, especially when we know in this community, which stretches from Broadview at the northwest down to a sliver of Lyons at the southeast, homes have been lost, jobs have been lost, some families have run into terrible, terrible financial problems, and taxes have been raised in other areas. It's a tough time to come out and say, give us more money. So I'm not going to say, I'm going to say this. If you like the presentation you just saw, if you don't like what I say, and you think you should vote for it, don't vote for it. If you don't like the presentation you just saw, you like what I say, and you think you shouldn't vote for it, don't vote for it. Okay? Vote against it. Okay? Whatever you want to do, fine with me. I'm not, I want you guys to be informed, because I did run with Jim Marciniak 4 years ago, and we never saw a crowd this big turn out. So I'm delighted to see all of you out here, even if we're going to go through some difficult patches in this little presentation. Okay? I just, show of hands, how many people here don't want RV funded well? Good. Is there anybody here who thinks RV should be funded poorly? All right. Maybe that's. So here are some principles. All of us love RV. We deserve the finest public high school in Illinois with 1,440 students. I'm not asking for more, but I don't think any one of us deserve any less. It's not easy. We rely on professionals. Professionals know what they're doing. We're not most of us are not professional educators. Most of us aren't. But that's what I think we deserve. And I think that's the focus for what I'm talking about tonight, because that is a multifaceted objective. The past is important only as it defines our present and as it limits our present. Okay? The past is important only as it limits our present. And unfortunately, we're going to find some limits in our present. And there are going to be a couple of factual disagreements between me and what you just heard. We'll get to those. Okay. So if you agree with those principles, I think you're going to agree with me that vision matters. Vision for the school matters. Limits matter. Not just the limit of how many kids can fit in the building, which we dealt with a little bit in the Floor Space Commission, taking 3 years to do it, coming out to you, saying, we've analyzed it, we think the building is irreparably damaged by its years of neglect and a lot of other stuff, and we've got more people coming in, and we don't have science classrooms, and we made that case to you. And I proudly made that case to you. I participated this much. If you find a thimble over at Michael's, that's how much I participated. Okay? But we were here saying to you, we need a new dimension to the building. That was addressing a limit, because limits matter. But governance matters. Governance is not off the table. And so I'm going to talk not about the RBEA concession. I'm not going to get into that. I'm not even going to get into the teacher union contract per se too much. Because we, each one of us in this community, each one of us is responsible for our civic duty relative to our public companies. Okay. Here we're in North Riverside. There's a village in North Riverside, and everybody who lives in North Riverside is responsible for that. There's Comaric School District. Everybody who lives in the Comaric School District is responsible for that. All of us live in District 208, so we're all responsible. So our governance question turns into great governance bringing great public support. Great governance where there's a board and a staff that is oriented outward, not inside, outward. That is reflecting the needs and the capabilities of the community, the desires and the wants. You get great support. That's what we had in 2006. Poor governance creates issues. In our case, governance means the RB board. That's why I'm not going to talk about the contract so much. I'll bring it up a little bit. But you know what? I ran for board. I didn't win. So I'm not in there negotiating. I have to talk to my friend Jim, or my friend Larry, or my friend Mary Ann, or my friend Mike Welch. But these guys were there for the contract negotiation, not me, not us. So I'm not anti-teacher. I'm not anti-teacher union. The only reason I know anything is because I had great teachers. It sure wasn't. Number two, when I worked at WMAQ Radio, I was a union organizer for AFTRA, the American Federation of Television Radio Artists, which I got in anyway, even though they said artists. We're not anti-union, we're not anti-teacher. We're trying to be pro-high school and pro-tax.